Welcome back everyone for a new top 10 list. As always, this is Goku-san DBZ of course, and this special new top 10 list, top 10 underrated games of the 8th console generation. So enjoy, that means that games from the PS4, Xbox One, Wii U, and Switch all qualify. So with that said, first, some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut. We Happy Few, A Hat in Time, Sea of Solitude, Here They Lie, which I've done a playthrough in the past, so check it out. As well as Sea of Solitude I've done. Anyways, also Call of Cthulhu, did a playthrough, check it out. It's actually pretty interesting. Omen of Sorrow, an underrated fighting game in my opinion. I need to do some more playthroughs of eventually. Also, last honorable mention, a lot of people disagree. That's fine. It's a definite polarizing game in the series, but in my opinion, last honorable mention is Assassin's Creed Unity. Indeed, I actually think Unity deserves a little more love than it gets. Yeah, it was bad early on, but now looking back years later, it's a very solid, very well executed game, and I love going around Paris, France, during the French Revolution, which is quite interesting time period in French history. First coming at number 10 is a tie. Both technically indie developed games. One is an indie platformer with gorgeous art style, which I highly recommend. The other one is more of a constant live thing, though all the updates and everything when it first came out was a disaster. Today, it's a very well respected and I think somewhat beloved now game, but I still think a lot more people should give it a chance. The two games tied at number 10 are Rime, and the other one is No Man's Sky. Coming at number 9 is a great puzzle type, well, elements of puzzle with stealth and other elements where a lot of the main puzzle elements of the game is trying to get around plagues of rats from killing you. At number 9, for me, in my opinion, underrated, is A Plague Tale Innocence, which is a really interesting game in my opinion. Now, this, to be fair, if you don't like stealth games, you're not going to like this at all. Also, there is crafting involved as well, as in many games nowadays. Coming at number 8 is sadly a game you can't really play now because all the servers are down over. It was a MMO shooter, but at number 8, in my opinion, deserved more love than it got. Battleborn, in my opinion. It's too bad more people didn't give Battleborn a chance, because I actually think it's a solid, really excellent game in my opinion. Coming in at number 7, on handhelds and stuff, or console, it's pretty much only available through limited run games for the Vita. Otherwise, you have to play it on PC, unfortunately, which is weird. But for me, at number 7 is Papers, Please. It's a game that deserves a lot more intrigue and looking into than it actually gets. I highly recommend it, and if you want a good in-depth review on it, more about the mechanics and the implementation of everything, I recommend checking out Yahtzee Zero Punctuation Review of Papers, Please. Number 6 is a game I've done full playthrough of, and I've mentioned multiple times. I love the music. I play music from it a lot. Coming at number 6 is Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which I think is way better than a lot of people give it credit for, which is a shame. I'm not a big fan of open world type games. This is an open world game, and it's like a first person viewpoint, like puzzle game, or rather platformer with puzzle elements to it. But I think it's a lot of fun. Coming at number 5 is a game I've become a big, outspoken supporter of, given I've done over like 140 videos of this game, so it shouldn't be any surprise. Coming at number 5, in my opinion, is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I've become probably one of the top defenders of the game, other than also Max, though I think I've enjoyed it more than even Max on some aspects. But with that said, still, the game deserves more love than it gets, in my opinion, and it has some of the best netcode of any fighting game I've played online. Coming at number 4, game I've also done a playthrough of, and I recommend the game, honestly. You can get it dirt cheap, because it was a launch title for the PS4. It's a gorgeous looking game. It still puts games today to shame, in my opinion, and it has a really solid, really good story, in my opinion. Keep in mind, my opinion is very different than that of other people, but this is one of the games that a lot of people just dump on that I thoroughly enjoyed. Number 4 is The Order 1886. Coming at number 3, I think it's criminally underrated. It deserves more love than it gets. For me, it's my number 1 favorite Vita game of all time, and I think the remaster version on PS4 is great. If you haven't played, please do yourself a favor. Number 3, please try Gravity Rush. The game deserves so much more love than it gets. Coming at number 2, another game I've done a full playthrough of. I've now played it on the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch. I think PS4 runs a tad better, but it's not really that much of a difference from the Switch. If you have a Switch, pick up this game. It's a great indie game where you turn into a bird and travel to floating islands. There's a lot of puzzle stuff involved, platforming elements, but there's no spoken dialogue in the game at all, but I think that's fine. I don't mind reading text, and there's not a lot of text, to be fair. It's a great game. Artistically, it's beautiful. It has a great soundtrack. It's an all-around, really well-crafted indie game, in my opinion. Coming in number 2 is Air Memory of Old. Coming at number 1 is a game, in my opinion, probably my second favorite game on the Xbox One. Coming at number 1, in my opinion, great game from Insomniac. And that is coming at number 1, in my opinion, criminally underrated, number 1 most underrated game of the 8th console generation. And that is Sunset Overdrive. That was the game that originally got me to play before I checked out, of course, Killer Instinct. But Sunset Overdrive is a superb game. It's probably my number 2 favorite game on the platform as a whole. But with that in mind, that was, in my opinion, 10 great and underrated games of the 8th console generation. So leave a comment below. Tell me what your personal thoughts are of underrated games. Do you agree with any of the games on my list? Any games that personally you feel that I didn't mention? Or games on the list you disagree are not underrated? With that said, I'm curious to see comments. Everyone stay safe with all the craziness going on in the world right now. With that said, hopefully enjoy somewhat this top 10 list. And if you're curious the music in the background, it is from Under Night in Birth. So with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel.